Now we're going to work on removing a node from a stack. Now before we get started with this pop method, I'm going to call it a pop. I'm going to call it pop. Before we get started I'm going to make a few little tweaks over here. Now, as I mentioned, when we created our node, we only had a next property. We wanted to make this one way. So this is, instead of doing it one way, what I want to do is make it a doubly linked list, or allow it to go in both directions by having a next and a previous. This is going to make our life a lot easier when it comes to building out this pop method. Now, there are many ways you can approach this to create it, to solve these problems, but this is the approach I wanted to take. I feel it's easier. All right, so I'm going to show you it. So this is the first tweak: add a previous property to the node. And secondly is, when we created this push method here, we have to add another line. Since we're going in both directions, now in this else block, what we did is we had, so it's like as if we had, let's say we had 15 and 25. All right, so this was the first node pushed in, this is the second. So first so where is it? This right here just simply did where this 15 has a pointer pointing to 25, but now we have to have 25 pointing back to 15, right? Because now this is we're making use of a doubly linked list. So the way we're going to do that is over here, we're going to do the new node dot prev is equal to this top. Just like this. All right, so now at this point, now the 25 would point back to 15. All right, so there you go. So that's that. So that's a little fix before I wanted to work on this pop method. All right, so let's get started. So we're gonna call this pop. Pop is not gonna take any arguments. And let's go to our pseudocode. So first thing is we're gonna store a temporary reference to the old top node. Now this old top node, when we remove it, is we want that to be the return value at the very end. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a variable called popped node equals this top. All right. Next is we're going to check if the size is 0, if the stack size is 0. So if this dot size is equal to 0, then return undefined. So that's our edge case. Next, if the size is 1, set top and bottom to null. So if this dot size is equal to 1, then essentially we're just resetting the values here, right? We're just setting both top and bottom to null. So we're going to do this dot top equals null, this dot bottom equals null, and then else, that means that we have more than one node inside our stack. So inside the else, we're going to store top nodes previous in a variable called new top node. So I'm going to do else. So I'm going to create a variable called new top node, and that's going to be equal to this top dot prev. Now, because at the start, remember that we added the previous property to the node, so now we can go both directions. So now I'm saying that the very top node at the moment, we want the prev. We want its previous node, which is the node right below the top, and stored in a variable called new top node, because this will become the new top node. All right, so next is make new top node's next property become null. Okay, so actually let me show you guys so you can visually see this. Say we have 11 here, we have 15, and let's say, I don't know, 7. All right, so this was the first one we pushed into the stack. This was the second, and then this is the third, which is the top. Okay, so this right here is this top prev. That's pointing to this here because this is the top and this is a prev. So this new top, the value is this right here. All right, and so with this next statement here, make new tops nodes next property. Make new tops nodes next property become null. What we're saying is that since this is going to be the new top, once we remove this 7 here, then we're saying that we want the next property of this one, the pointer, the next property of this one, which is pointing to 7, to become null, because that would essentially make that disconnection between the two. So that's where we're going to do that is we're saying new top node dot next equals to null, just like so. So just by doing that, we essentially disconnect from here and remove it. But now next is we have to make the new top node the top. All right, so now we have to label this 15 to become the new top. So the way we're going to do that is going to do this dot top is now the new top node. All right, there you go. So that's that. And then finally, well, the last two, let's see, we got to decrement the value because we're removing something. So this dot size minus minus, and then finally we're returning the old top node. And this is why we had a reference to the top node at the initially before we started doing everything else, because at the end we want before we deleted it or removed the top, we want to return it, so we can see what is it that we removed. So return popped node. Okay, so that should be it right there. Yes, that's it for the pseudocode. Let's go ahead and test this out. Let's go ahead and build something here based on a diagram. Let's say, okay, so let's say we have 17. All right, so this is what I want to build out here. So we have the stack, this is the top, and the 11 is the bottom. All right, so let's go ahead and start that. Yeah, actually I'm gonna do it here. All right, so let's go ahead and run the code. So I'm gonna do st and then push. Let's see, what was the first in the stack? It's 11, right? So let's go ahead and push 11. All right, so we got 11. You see it gives us 1. That's how many we have in the stack so far. Now let's push the next one in, 15. 15. All right, now we got 2, and then the final one is 7, right? So let's do that. 7, and we should get 3. There we go. All right, now let's make a use of our pop method. So we should assume, or what we should expect is that this is the top, so this is what's going to be popped off is a 7, and it should return us that node of 7. So if I do st and then do pop, no arguments, there you go. You see the node of 7. All right, so now this 7 doesn't exist. Now what if we did pop again? It should return this 15 and remove it. So let's do pop, and there you go. You see 15 gone. All right, so that's gone. And then finally we have this. If we do another pop, it should be the 11, and there you go, 11. Now that this stack is empty, well, then that means that it should hit this edge case here. If this size is 0, return undefined. So let's make sure we get undefined, and you see undefined. And if I did that again, undefined, we continue to get undefined because our stack has 0, nothing in the stack. All right, so we tested our pop method and it is functional, and there you have it.